The following is the completion of Ghost Relay Part 2. We hope you enjoy the completion of this NebulaScript story. If you enjoy sci-fi stories, games, and atmospheric worlds, follow the links below for more.
Auditor confirmation required. Behind you, the signal auditor shifts their weight. No reaction, just presence. This relay can't be shut down with an unresolved record, they say, voice flat, not without authorization. The implication is clear. You can't access the archive you need, and you can't initiate shutdown until custody is resolved. You don't argue. You shift your weight slightly, give the console your full attention for a beat, then look back at the auditor like this isn't a confrontation at all, just a coordination issue that needs smoothing out. Look, you say evenly, I don't need you to bless the contents. I just need you to acknowledge custody long enough for the system to let me finish the job. You tap the edge of the console, not hard, more like you're reminding it you're both standing in the same room. You log it as provisional. I extract what's flagged. We shut the relay down clean. You don't press. You let the silence do the work. Unprecedented for the auditor and for the AI. You wait. For a second, nothing happens. The monitors hold steady, no alerts. Then the console chimes softly as permissions begin to update. Custody, provisional. Audit status, review, complete. A pause, longer than it should be. Access layers unlock. You have a window, the auditor says. You authenticate with the credentials provided. No embellishment, no probing. Exactly what was contracted. The system accepts them without challenge. No secondary verification, as specified. Auditor, you ask, who was the last person or persons on site? I'm not authorized to release personnel records. They reply, voice unchanged. Maintenance logs indicate system access less than 10 planetary revolutions ago. That's recent. Too recent for an archive flagged as dormant. You begin the extraction. Nested records unfold. Directory shells, index markers, structural placeholders. No data, no surface scans, no atmospheric logs, no visual fragments. Just the operating core required to keep the platform functional. A hollow archive. The transfer completes almost instantly, and that's when it happens. Without prompt, the controlled termination sequence initiates. Power draw collapse, core spin down. The relay begins to quiet itself in layers, systems peeling away from each other instead of failing all at once. For half a second, it feels clean. Then the alarm hits. The primary console flashes red, and every wall panel follows. Status bands bloom across the chamber like a spreading bruise. Light strips pulse hard. Orbital solution. Failure, thrust vector, calculation, invalid, relative mass change detected. The relay is firing, maneuvering thrusters as part of its shutdown routine automatic, but the math no longer works. The mass profile it's using is wrong, because your ship is still clamped to it. The relay corrects again, overcompensates, fires harder. Your ship shudders as the docking clamps strain, hull plates groaning as forces they weren't designed for ripple through the frame. The relative motion display jumps, then jumps again, numbers sliding in the wrong direction. The shutdown sequence continues. Thrusters burn. Orientation shifts. Failsafes apparently disabled. The combined mass of the ship and relay begins to fall out of orbit, the trajectory degrading with every automated correction. You don't need confirmation. This isn't a failure state. The countdown was deliberately suppressed, the termination that was designed to complete in silence, now threatening to take you down with it. Act 3, Crisis, Breakaway. The relay fires its thrusters again, harder this time. Your ship lurches as the docking clamps scream under load, the frame flexing in places it shouldn't. Warnings stack across your display. Structural stress, clamp tolerance, attitude mismatch. All of it secondary to the number that matters. Orbital decay, accelerating. You abandon the console mid-sequence and sprint for the airlock, boots hammering against the deck as another correction burn hits. The floor tilts under you, not enough to throw you, but enough to make every step feel late. Behind you, the auditor remains silent and doesn't follow. The airlock cycles slower than it should. Power fluctuation, load redistribution. You slam your hand against the panel. The inner hatch finally releases, and you shove through. The hatch seals. Your ship's alarms are already screaming when the outer hatch opens. Docking clamps, error, thrust vector, conflict. You don't wait for diagnostics. You cut power to the clamps manually. The release is violent. Metal shrieks as the clamps shear loose, fragments spinning past the viewport as your ship snaps free and immediately begins to tumble. Inertia throws you sideways. Harnesses bite into your shoulders. Something cracks hard enough that you'll feel it later. You fire thrusters, short, corrective bursts, fighting rotation before you even think about direction. The nav display struggles to stabilize, numbers chasing each other across the screen. Outside, the relay continues its shutdown burn, now unencumbered. Its trajectory collapses fast. You don't stay to watch. You burn hard, pulling away just as debris and exhaust wash across your hull. The ship shudders, alarms cascading as systems complain about heat, stress, proximity. None of it fatal, all of it expensive. Then distance opens. The relay falls away beneath you as the shutdown sequence completes without you attached. Thrusters fire one last time in a correction that no longer matters. The relay drops toward the stripped planet on a decaying path it cannot recover from. Silence follows. Not clean silence. The ship is still ringing with alerts, but the kind that tells you the immediate problem is over. You're free and alive. Act 4. Aftermath. Clean exit. Dirty proof. Once you have distance, once the ship stops shaking, you open a clean channel and file the report. Mission verified. Relay neutralized. Archive secured. Data intact and untouched. Your employer responds quickly, a bit too quickly, with approval codes and a confirmation receipt. No follow-up questions, no curiosity. Just a reminder to transmit the package through approved channels when convenient. You send the empty file. Hours later, when you have some space to breathe, the ache flaring along your ribs where the harness fought you on the way out, you sort through your inventory. Tools, suit logs, recorder. And then the small thing you almost forgot about. The diagnostic dongle you found on the deck near the console, scuffed and out of place. You slot it in. The copy resolves immediately. Not fragments, not noise. A full mirror. Your employer's own data architecture, authority trees, transaction trails. Clean enough to verify. Complete enough to be damning. Extraction schedules, resource tallies, off-ledger transfers. Evidence that Case 73B wasn't abandoned. It was used. And more. Much more. About this mission. The Auditor AI could have shut down the relay. A failsafe, perhaps. Not likely. You assume there was a communication issue with this relay. That was not the case. And there was the shutdown that didn't have a countdown, and that you did not initiate. No accident or malfunction. A timed collapse, with your name positioned exactly where responsibility would settle. Why? Whoever set it up didn't account for this local copy. You were never meant to see proof of anything. And now, you're holding something that wasn't planned for.
Thank you for listening to Ghost Relay. Remember to check the links below for more NebulaScript stories, games, and future transmissions.